Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating neuroscience of why our brains are biologically starved for novelty and how exploring new places physically rewires our minds. If you've ever felt a deep, almost unexplainable urge to just go somewhere you've never been before, well, you're about to find out exactly why your biology is demanding it.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel totally exhausted and drained, even after you've had a solid night's sleep? Like you're just stuck in this endless, repetitive rut? Well, it turns out your body isn't actually malfunctioning. What you're experiencing is often what researchers call allostatic load, or what ancient traditions refer to as Jing depletion. It's the cumulative biological cost of the chronic stress that comes from highly predictable, unbroken routines. Basically, your nervous system is constantly running on empty because it isn't getting the specific kind of stimulation it needs to recover.
Section 1. The novelty-starved brain. Let's take a look at predictability and stress.
We've built these incredibly efficient, super comfortable lives for ourselves, right? But here's the thing, our brains simply didn't evolve for total predictability. Take this concept of activity diversity. It's not just about doing more things in a day, it's about the actual range of different activities you do and how evenly you distribute your time across them. The data proves that simply mixing up your daily actions directly boosts your mental health. People who engage in more diverse daily activities exhibit significantly higher levels of psychological well-being. But it goes way deeper than just feeling good. It physically changes the structure of your brain.
Section 2. Inside the hippocampal gym. Building the brain.
To really get how this works, we've got to look at the hippocampus. This is the brain region heavily involved in learning, memory, and spatial navigation. You can literally think of it like a navigational muscle. And researchers see this play out in real time with rodents. When rodents live in empty, standard cages, their neuroplasticity essentially stagnates. But if you put them in an enriched environment, like a Marlowe cage that has these complex, constantly changing mazes and navigational challenges, it actually sparks the growth of brand new brain cells. This process, called adult hippocampal neurogenesis, proves that navigating physical complexity is a strict biological requirement for a healthy brain.
The data from these environmental enrichment studies is just mind-blowing. Changing up spatial complexity consistently triggers adult hippocampal neurogenesis. What that means is, by constantly having to map out new routes and adapt to changing physical layouts, the brain actually ramps up its production of new neurons. So consistent novelty builds a bigger, much more adaptable brain over time. Just existing in a complex space isn't enough. The space needs to change, or you need to change your space.
Section 3. The striatum happiness loop. The biological rewards of novelty.
So how exactly does navigating these new locations connect to our emotional reward centers? Well, a really fascinating study took this whole concept out of the lab and into the real world. Researchers tracked people in New York and Miami using GPS for months, and they found something incredible. On days with higher location diversity, meaning people visited a wider variety of physical spots and spent their time more evenly across them, they felt significantly happier, more excited, and just generally more relaxed.
The crucial takeaway here is summarized perfectly by Dr. Catherine Hartley. Breaking your physical routine directly fuels your subjective sense of well-being. This isn't just some psychological trick. It is a measurable neurobiological reality. And there is a very specific brain circuit driving this whole effect.
That circuit is anchored by the striatum, which is the true engine of this happiness loop. Here's what happens. When you explore a new environment, your hippocampus processes that spatial novelty. It then talks directly to the striatum, which actively rewards you with a hit of dopamine. That feel-good neurotransmitter floods in whenever we successfully encounter and process the unknown, chemically reinforcing our desire to explore. It's quite literally your brain's way of paying you to go out and learn about the world.
Section 4. Theta waves prime learning. How we are primed for flexibility.
Now, if we zoom in to the level of brainwave frequencies, we find that it's not just about feeling happy, it's actually about cognitive power. Researchers at Columbia University discovered that just introducing a mouse to a new space, or even an unfamiliar peer, completely supercharges their theta waves. In humans, these are the exact same brainwaves that spike during deep meditation and REM sleep. They're absolutely crucial for processing information and cementing long-term memories. Let's break down how this builds step by step. First, you experience some sort of novelty. Second, that novelty triggers a release of dopamine. Third, that dopamine actually amplifies your theta waves. And fourth,
This amplification effectively disrupts old, stubborn habits and neural connections, priming your brain to learn and adapt with total flexibility. Basically, by seeking out the new, you're manually shifting your brain into this highly receptive, neuroplastic state.
Section 5. Lowering cortisol through nature. Let's look at the nature pill.
But hey, it's not all about boosting cognitive power. Let's travel down the vagus nerve and see how taking a physical nature pill heals our nervous system and combats that deep exhaustion we talked about earlier. This number is wild, 21.3%. Simply spending time in an urban nature spot produces a 21.3% drop in your stress hormone, cortisol, per hour. And that's on top of the normal drop in cortisol your body naturally experiences throughout the day. Getting out of the house and into a novel, natural environment acts like a biological reset button for your stress levels.
When we look at the duration, the biological sweet spot for this nature pill peaks exactly in that middle 20 to 30 minute window of sitting or walking outdoors. Before 20 minutes, sure, you get some benefit, but the efficiency really maximizes right in that 20 to 30 minute range. After that, the de-stressing benefits do keep adding up, just at a slower rate. So a quick half-hour excursion is literally enough to dramatically lower your allostatic load.
Section 6. Bringing exploration home. Daily micro-interventions.
Now, for the best part. You absolutely do not need to fly halfway across the world to get these neurobiological benefits. There are some highly accessible, evidence-based micro-interventions you can try literally today. You could simply take a completely different route to the grocery store to force your hippocampus to map new spatial data. You could step outside for that 20-minute nature pill. Or try going on what researcher Dasher Keltner calls an awe walk, where you intentionally look for things that shift your frame of reference, like observing moral beauty or kindness in others. You can even practice manually induced micro-movements, which are just small, novel physical actions that disrupt your brain's predictive coding and force it to update its emotional state. It is all about introducing small, safe, and salient novelty into your day.
I'll leave you with this final thought. Your brain is a predictive engine, and it is practically desperate for something new to process. Without novelty, it gets stuck running on loops that drain your energy and shrink your spatial mapping. So, what one small novel change will you make today to step out of the predictable, feed your striatum, and start rewiring your mind for the better?